Hello, and welcome to the rest of the Broadway Story. I'm your host, Elijah.
And I'm your other host, Clark. Today's episode will be a little bit different because we're not talking about a Broadway show, but more about a really bad Broadway actor.
Nicolas Cage?
Close. The actor today went by Jack. He was destined to become an actor because his father was a respectable actor, and so were his brothers.
Yes, Jack acted mostly Shakespeare, like his father.
And most Broadway theaters at the time only did Shakespeare plays or ballad operas.
Jack became one of the most famous actors of his day, was known all across America, and made a modern equivalent of $575,000 a year.
He was athletic, ruggedly handsome, and some might call him a natural genius.
He brought the house down with his portrayal of Romeo, had rave reviews as Richard III, and even received fan mail all across the country from infatuated women.
He was in high demand, and him and his brother would perform Hamlet, but his favorite role was that of Brutus in Julius Caesar.
So now, you're wondering what made Jack such a bad actor. He sounds like a good actor. In fact, a really good actor.
Well, there was that one time when instead of saying his lines, he forgot them and said to the audience, "Who am I?"
There was that time when he was in a sword duel on stage and accidentally cut himself with his own weapon.
Not to mention all the trouble he got into for saying those outspoken comments about the government.
But all those reasons were not why Jack was a bad actor. See, the real reason that he was a bad actor is because he was a murderer.
And it wasn't just a murder of passion or manslaughter. This murder was carefully planned over years and which Jack executed with his own hands.
It's pretty amazing when you think that one year he was acting on stage with two of his brothers in a Broadway production of Julius Caesar,
Playing Mark Antony, in which what would be known as one of the greatest events in New York history.
the proceeds of that production even went to fund a William Shakespeare statue that still stands in Central Park today.
And just to think that 1 year later, he would commit a shocking murder.
Think you know who we're talking about?
Think it's maybe Jack Nicholson or Jack Lemmon?
Or Jack Black?
But wait, Jack Black is actually a bad actor. Haven't you seen Goosebumps?
No, Nacho Libre.
Oh, right, and also King Kong.
But we digress. No, none of those famous actors named Jack ever committed murder.
And it's very doubtful that Jack Black would star as Romeo and receive love letters from his women fans.
Maybe we should give you a few more hints.
What we have not told you is the time period in which Jack was so famous.
Jack's career started in 1855 and ended 10 short years later.
Jack committed a murder in a theater of all places, a theater which he had acted in many times before.
And because Jack was friends with the owner, he had full access to the theater. The owner was John T. Ford.
And all of those outspoken comments about the government was in support of the secession of the southern states.
He saw his victim as a tyrant who must be eliminated. The bad actor we're talking about is
John Wilkes Booth, and the victim was Abraham Lincoln. He was easily able to get into Ford's theater and shoot Lincoln in the back of his head.
Booth then jumped off Lincoln's opera box onto the stage, in which he yelled, "Sic semper tyrannis."
This line is attributed to Brutus at Caesar's assassination. Brutus, his favorite role to play.
Sounds like John Wilkes Booth was the real-life Brutus. Et tu, Brute?
Join us next time for another fascinating story in which we will reveal the rest of the Broadway story.